I spent 3 terms in the United States Senate from 1978 to 1995. I'm a graduate of St. John's, grade school, prep school, college. St. John's gave me the opportunity to ask all the right questions, and I think that shaped my life more than anything else. It informed who I hang out with, you know. Who do you give yourself to in a more intimate way, whether it's in a faith-based activity or it's in a profession of one kind or the other, or maybe it's just a pure friendship. Personal relationships are everything. And people that I reflect back on now who've made the biggest difference in my life are people I trusted. Just like I expected voters to trust me in my relationships. St. John's lays the groundwork for how and what relationships we build, how much of ourselves we're willing to give to them, when we know it's a good time to get out, you know, which sometimes is the challenge. And all of that in one way or another does relate to why do we get into public service professions, why do we get into public service activity, or why do we even get into politics and government. What's next depends in large part on understanding who shapes the future of your community. Communities are training grounds for going farther and actually doing something about the things you're talking about. Health, education, housing, higher education, the environment, you name your favorite concern. And there's opportunities in the community and people who can involve you, not just in another nonprofit, but involve you in a meaningful way to change that part of your community. So how do we understand our community? How do we look at it? How do we understand the influences on our community? How many of them are business influences? How many of them are local politics? How many of them are state politics or government? How many are national? And what can we do about it? I think that the greatest value in higher education today is making a choice that says, I'm going to learn something about civics and the civil society while I'm in college. Because I get to learn it from people who are experts on the subject. They don't teach political science, they teach involvement. The best place to seize any opportunity that might lead you into politics or into public policy, into a government position, is right in the community itself. There's so many ways in which committing yourself to what we call civic action, you know, the reconstruction of the civic order in all of our communities. You don't have to hold an elected office to have an influence. What I believe, what I tell my grandkids, all 14 of them, is how important 2 things are: voting and getting yourself involved in the process of picking candidates or becoming a candidate. Both of these are important. They go together. Doesn't have to be a full-time job. This is all part-time activity. Doesn't take that long. Informed voting and finding among your friends and neighbors and classmates or whatever it is, people that you look up to, who you think should be encouraged to go into politics or public service, one or the other. And that's not a hard job to do. You just have to have it in your heart and in your head, you know how to make decisions like that. But that's the next step. That is so important, that an informed generation of young people just like you know, who are trying to, you're not setting out to change the world, but you will change the world. I guarantee that, because we're not leaving it in very good shape right now. And your instinct's gonna be to change it. So how do we do that? We do it with people like us. And we commit some part of our lives to taking what we learned in college, what we learned at the university and so forth, and take that into the community. You have to make a commitment to change our little part of the world right now, not the whole thing. Well, you might get lucky like I did. I got to change the whole thing. You know, and my first time I ever ran for office, and I got elected twice. But that's just, holy cow, how did that happen? Might happen to you. It just might happen to you. But you'll not know. You can't design it that way. The world doesn't work that way. But, you know, opportunity comes to those who are aware of what it is. And that's so you got to prep your life to be aware. and the opportunity will come along.